You're watching College Football Primetime on ESPN, presented by Russell Athletic.
From Provo, Utah, this is ESPN College Football Primetime Friday night, presented by Russell Athletic. The Warriors from Hawaii have made it to Lavelle Edwards Stadium to take on the BYU Cougars. And welcome to the College Football Weekend with Rod Gilmore and Jamel Hill. I'm Carter Blackburn. Tomorrow morning, College Game Day is in East Lansing for the only matchup of top 20 teams this week, Michigan State and Ohio State.
Remember, week 2, we didn't have a lot of matchups, but we had a lot of upsets. Already had one last night.
Now, the BYU Cougars at the beginning of 2012 were hoping to be a BCS buster. But, Rod, the BYU offense and a failed two-point conversion means this team now has 2 losses.
Yeah, they've kind of lost their identity. Do you recognize this BYU offense? Because I sure don't. I'm used to seeing BYU 300-yard passing days, great quarterback play, and they haven't had that the last 2 weeks. 27 points total in their last 2 games, 61 passing yards last week against Boise State. That doesn't sound like BYU.
Well, BYU used to be quarterback U, and tonight they get a new quarterback. Taysom Hill, the true freshman, gets his first start. Riley Nelson is injured, didn't practice all week, but Taysom Hill is not the typical true freshman starting quarterback.
Yeah, if you can call a 22-year-old grown man a freshman, because that's what he is right now, and he steps in for Riley Nelson, and Nelson, in all fairness to him, he's been playing with a bad back, and that's affected his play the last 2 weeks. He will be the mentor tonight. Now, Hill is very athletic. He can really run the football. The question tonight will be, can he get them back to throwing the football the way they used to here at BYU?
It is Friday, which means it's Friday Focus, and here in Provo, Utah, that focus is on the Warriors and the Cougars. We'll kick it off next. Do the haka before the game, but the BYU Cougars a strong Hawaiian and Polynesian influence, so we get the double haka between Hawaii and BYU. And Jamel Hill, it is quite a ways and quite a difference from Honolulu to Provo, Utah.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Carter, I talked to BYU offensive coordinator Brandon Doman, and he's hoping the combination of travel and altitude will make Hawaii vulnerable. He plans on using the team's offensive package, which they call Nitro, where they try to mimic an up-tempo style offense that's similar to Oregon's. Now, I also talked to Norm Chow about whether or not he had any travel concerns, and he said as a coach of Hawaii, there are always travel concerns, so much so that in the summer he met with a sleep psychologist at Stanford about the best way to keep his team fresh. They, of course, suggested 10 hours a night of sleep, but that's not always easy to do with college kids. I joked with Norm Chow. I said, hey, when you were an assistant, did you ever have to worry about a player's sleep cycle? And he just laughed and shook his head. Carter?
Well, when Norm Chow got his first assistant job in college football, it was as a graduate assistant to Lavelle Edwards back in 1973 here at BYU, and he was a big part of those explosive BYU offenses, including the national championship in '84.
Yeah, 3 national championships he has in his career here at BYU, USC, and the like, and he's been associated with the great passing attacks at BYU. And now he's back here tonight when BYU is trying to get their passing attack untracked.
Bronco Mendenhall in his 8th season as BYU head coach. He also acts as the defensive coordinator for BYU. Norm Chow acts as the offensive coordinator for the Hawaii Warriors. The head coaches matching up strategically tonight. BYU will receive the opening kickoff. And it is Oppo who brings it out. Oppo to the 23-yard line. And so here is Taysom Hill, the true freshman from Pocatello, Idaho, becomes only the 4th true freshman to start at quarterback for BYU, but he is 22 years old, committed to Stanford, then went on an LDS mission to Australia. Stanford wanted him to come back early to play with the Cardinal. He said, I'd rather wait until January of last year, and decided to come to BYU instead. He was responsible for the only touchdown BYU scored last week in the loss to Boise State. Play action on first down. Hill is pressured but completes to Zed Mendenhall, who rumbles for about 8.
Well, there is Riley Nelson with the bad back, the sore back he tried to play through for 2 weeks and just was not effective. Had a number of turnovers at the Boise State game and finally realized, I'm just hurting the team. I got to get out of the game.
When we talked to him yesterday, he said, y'all saw the disaster that was Boise State. I don't need to tell you what kind of injury impacted his performance last week. Low snap. Taysom Hill corrals and converts for a first down. One of the real strengths of the 6'2", 218-pound freshman.
Yeah, he's put together. He is a grown man. You talk about playing a freshman quarterback. You think a 18-year-old who's got to grow into his body. This young man is fully grown into a body. He would be eligible for the NFL draft because of his age and his size, and he can run. He's very athletic.
Michael Elisa and Jamaal Williams join Taysom Hill in the backfield. That's Oppo in motion. Hill is going to tuck it again and scramble again to near midfield. Another positive gain on the ground for Hill. Chance to look at our impact players for the Cougars.
Well, one of them certainly is the freshman quarterback, Hill. You saw his change of direction. He'll get some help out of the backfield with Michael Elisa, who's a tough inside runner. Kyle Van Noy, incredibly versatile at linebacker. And oh yes, Izzy Ansah rising up the draft board of every NFL team, even as we speak, at 6'7", 280 pounds, and he can run the 200 meters in about 22 seconds.
We will have much more on the unbelievable story of Ezekiel Ansah. Elisa gets it on second down and short and fights his way for a first down through the broken tackles before Mike Edwards finally makes the stop.
That's what we're talking about with Elisa. He is a tough second effort runner. Yeah, you talk about freshman quarterback. He's got a lot to deal with, but in addition to that, he's got a new offensive line essentially he's working behind and a new center.
Two guards and Braden Hansen moving to center from his guard position because of the poor performance against Boise State. That is Ross Oppo, the sophomore from Texas, who picks up another BYU first down.
And so you want to get him comfortable. You want to get Hill squared away with everything. But in his first start tonight, he gets a new center. Brandon Hansen, who's a guard, moves over to play center. Has never done it in a game before. And then two new starting guards. Those are the guys closest to you, protecting you. And he's got brand new guys up front.
Play action on 1st and 10. Hill completes. Breaking the tackle is Jamaal Williams, the freshman from Fontana, California, who takes it all the way to the 11 in a big cheer from the Cougar fans.
Yeah.
And the offense moves the football.
Yeah, they're excited about getting back to BYU football. A lot of help, though, for the young freshman. Well, the old freshman. A lot of help. He's got guys getting yards after catch for him.
And just as Jamel reported, offensive coordinator Brandon Dolman says you'll see a lot of the quick tempo tonight from BYU. There it is on first down, gain of a couple.
You know how you used to hear everybody say the young freshman? You go, what do they mean? All of them are young. No, they aren't.
This is the exception.
Yeah, this is the exception.
He's the age of most seniors, Taysom Hill. He was 19 when he went on his LDS mission. Injured Hawaii Warrior is Jordan Hano, and it is a banged-up defense, and it is a defense that gave up 355 on the ground to Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada ran him out. Nevada ran the zone read. Nevada ran power. Nevada ran them off the field, and they are down a number of defensive linemen.
69 points scored by Nevada, the most ever by an opponent at Aloha Stadium. And now Jordan Hano down injured on the first series for the Hawaii Warriors. And while Hawaii tends to Jordan Hano, we step aside. Just over 3 minutes into this game in Provo, Utah, Jordan Hano, the senior from Oahu, defensive tackle for Hawaii, is still down on the ground. Both the BYU and Hawaii training staffs tending to him.
Well, here he is right here in the center of your screen. You will see him take on contact right there, and all of a sudden he's down, just kind of crumples immediately.
Right as we discussed, Hawaii has suffered a number of injuries, especially up front. One of the reasons why their defense has struggled. And here's Jordan Hano down on the first series against BYU.
Yeah, they lost Moses Samia with an ACL. He'll be out for the year, but obviously really concerned when you see stretchers come out here now for a player. This is obviously disturbing.
When we get a report on the health of Jordan Hano, we will pass it along. Opening series for BYU. 8 plays into the game. Jordan Hano, the senior defensive tackle, still down on the turf here at Lavelle Edwards Stadium.
You can see the impact it has on everyone, on coaches on both sides. You're used to seeing guys, get hurt and come off the field, but the moment you have a stretcher come on the field, it's an entirely different scene, and it really impacts everyone on that field.
Lavelle Edwards Stadium has gone silent here in Provo, Utah, as Jordan Hano still being tended to. This was the play where he was injured.
It's right in the middle, number 9 in the middle of your screen. And you have a hard time seeing something that happened in terms of the lower legs and anything. It looks more like there was some instant contact, and then he just kind of crumpled as if there was some reaction immediately to the contact. There.
He was tangled there with the left guard, Famika Anai. And you see it exactly as we see it. Jordan Hano down on the ground, the entire Warrior sideline on a knee. When we receive any word about the condition of Jordan Hano, we will pass it along to you immediately. The senior from Oahu, St. Louis School sociology major. He is a 5th-year senior for the Hawaii Warriors in the middle of the Hawaii defensive line on the opening series. 8 plays into the football game. Jordan Hano down, being carted off on a stretcher.
And Famika Anai, who was blocking him, didn't do anything wrong. He just blocked him straight up. But whenever someone gets injured and you're a part of it, you feel somewhat responsible. But it was a good, clean one-on-one block.
Let's look at the play again. Difficult to see anything, and when we know about Jordan Hano's condition, we will pass it along.
There's the sign. There's a nice thumbs up. That's a good sign.
Anxious moments here at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Just over 3 minutes into Hawaii and BYU. Jordan Hano taken off the field on a cart. And now his Hawaii teammates back on the field without the senior defensive tackle. And a difficult task now for this Hawaii defense tested on this opening drive by BYU. Now as their teammate Jordan Hano is carted off the field at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, it's a 2nd down and 8 play. It is back to football after the injury to Jordan Hano. Warriors bring pressure. Alisa tries to run around it. Alisa diving near the 1st down. It appears to be maybe half a yard short. John Hardy-Tuliau, the free safety, on the tackle.
And Alisa is holding his right arm coming off the field. He made a great move to get to the outside and accelerate it, but at the end of the play, he gets up with the bad arm. There's Jordan Hano being loaded into the ambulance.
And at the other end of the stadium, it's 3rd down and 1 for BYU. High backfield. Williams gets the handoff. Williams is into the end zone for a BYU touchdown. Mixed emotions here at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. The injury to Jordan Hano, and on the other end of the field, BYU is in for an opening touchdown. Riley Stevenson's PAT is good. So the BYU offense that has struggled so far in 2012 has a touchdown. But that's the sign that everyone in Lavelle Edwards Stadium hoped to see. A thumbs up from Jordan Hano. Aerial sciences, a truly amazing story. The guy they call Ziggy.
Yeah, he's 7,000 miles from home. Hadn't played football until a couple years ago, 2010. Was a track man, 275, 280 pounds, and can run the 200 meters in under 22 seconds.
Walked into Bronco Mendenhall's office back in 2010 and asked him about playing football. And Bronco said, question number 1, who are you?
How about I'm a big man who can run really, really fast.
And we will have much more on what the pro scouts are saying about Ezekiel Ansah. They are praising him. Mike Edwards brings it out of the end zone for Hawaii. Edwards is tripped up and dropped at the 9-yard line. Lasky there on the stop on special teams for BYU. So we see the Hawaii Warrior offense. The starting quarterback is a member of the Duke Alumni Association. Originally from Southern California, Sean Schroeder. 3 years at Duke, earned his degree, barely saw the field as a quarterback. So says he had a heart-to-heart with David Cutcliffe, who recommended Schroeder to Norm Chow. This fall camp, Schroeder arrived as a walk-on 3 days in, given the starting quarterback job for Hawaii and a scholarship. Handing off on 1st down to Will Gregory.
Yeah, Norm Chow asked David Cutcliffe, well, wait a minute, if he's such a great guy, why are you letting him go? And he said, he's a great kid. We've just got a star quarterback ahead of him, and, you know, we want good things to happen for this young man, so we highly recommend him. And Norm Chow had a star fall in his lap.
That's an NCAA exception to the year sitting out as a transfer. If you earn your degree on time, as Schroeder did, 3 years, immediately eligible for Hawaii. He has 2 years of eligibility as a Warrior. Schroeder on 2nd and 4, complete for a Hawaii 1st down. We check in with Chris Carter.
Hey, Carter, we've got some WNBA action going on right now over on ESPN2. Atlanta at Indianapolis, Eastern Conference semis in Atlanta, up big right now, late going in the 3rd quarter. That's over on ESPN2. Back to you, Carter.
Here in Provo, Utah, at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, an opening drive touchdown for Bronco Mendenhall and the Cougars. Now Hawaii, first offensive possession, 1st and 10 Warriors. Gregory gets it on 1st and 10 across the 30 to near the 35.
You know, you mentioned Schroeder growing up in Southern California. Well, that was during Camelot, and he used to go to the USC practices when Carson Palmer was a quarterback, Matt Leinart was a quarterback, and of course he wanted to be a quarterback. You're hanging around the USC practices, and you're seeing Heisman Trophy quarterbacks.
And that's when Norm Chow was the offensive coordinator. And the opener for Hawaii was at USC. John Lister is lined up for the direct snap. It is Lister handing off. Mike Edwards is the ball carrier, the corner who sees his first action as a running back for the Hawaii Warriors.
Well, that's probably because they're a little banged up in the running back spot. I'm not sure we're going to see Joey Iosefa tonight.
Iosefa missed the Nevada game with an ankle injury, still in a boot yesterday as the Warriors were traveling. He had hoped to warm up and go tonight, but we are not expecting to see Joey Iosefa in the Hawaii backfield. Play action on 2nd and 10. Schroeder looking long, and it's intercepted. Daniel Sorensen picks it off for BYU. Just the 3rd interception of the year for the BYU defense.
Yeah, and you see Schroeder complaining, asking for a pass interference call because there was some contact with Sorensen down the field. Sorensen and Stutzman got connected a little bit, but Sorensen has every right to go for the football too. Now there's a little push off there, and he goes right to the ball. Since he's playing the ball and his eyes are on the ball, going for the ball, that's not going to be called. He's playing the football.
Just the 5th takeaway by the BYU defense this year. Because of all the turnovers by the offense, they are still -4 in turnover ratio this year. Falslove makes the grab on 1st down from Taysom Hill. Falslove appears to have another BYU 1st down at the 49.
How about the way Brandon Doman, the offensive coordinator, has handled his freshman quarterback in the early part of the game? Short passes, let other guys do the work, get him some confidence.
Doman told us he is taking a smaller script into this game. With the freshman Hill now on the roll. Hill looking downfield, complete. Falslove has it to the 30, but there's a flag in the backfield.
Did we say that Hill was athletic?
Holding, offense, number 72, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
And there is another Hawaii Warrior injured, and it's Siasau Matongiese, who plays the same position as Jordan Hano, defensive tackle for the Hawaii Warriors. So they've lost Salia a week ago. Jordan Hano left on the 1st defensive series for Hawaii, and now Siasau Matongiese is down on the turf here at Lavelle Edwards Stadium as well.
You know, he's right here. They may not have any other defensive tackles, nose guards available. As he gets a hit there, that's helmet-to-helmet contact, it looks like. It is helmet-to-helmet.
That's Famika Anai, the left guard.
And Anai was involved with the blocking with Jordan Hano.
Let's check in with Jamel Hill.
Yeah, Carter, I talked to Hawaii's training staff, and Jordan Hanu has been taken to Utah Valley Regional Medical Center, which is nearby. He complained of numbness before he left the field, and so they're just waiting news to see what will be his condition. He'll be x-rayed there as well.
And we will pass along any further information on Jordan Hano and on Matongiese, who's now down for Hawaii. 7 minutes into this football game, we've already seen 2 Hawaii Warrior defensive tackles go down. First Jordan Hano and now Siasau Matongiese. This is the first injury, Hano.
Yeah, he just goes down almost immediately. Not a lot of contact. This, in my opinion, is a helmet-to-helmet defenseless player hit, which is dramatically different from the first injury to Jordan Hano.
And while Matongiese is tended to, we check in with Chris Cotter. Here at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, Siasau Matongiese still down on the ground. Once again, both the BYU and Hawaii training staffs tending to Matongiese.
Think about the impact on Hawaii. You have this game, and then 2 of your brothers out there are in serious condition at the beginning of the ball game. It's one thing to see one guy go down and be carried off on a stretcher. It's another thing to see another teammate shortly after that in kind of the same situation. And that's got to be a drain on this team. And you start drifting away from the football aspect of it and starting to be more concerned about what's going on with my teammates, my brothers.
It's now 3 defensive linemen in 2 weeks who have been injured for Hawaii. As we talk about the play where Matongi Ese was hit, Famika Anai, and whether that was defenseless player, here's what the rule book says. No player shall target and initiate contact to the head or neck area of a defenseless opponent with the helmet, forearm, elbow, or shoulder. And as Rod, we've talked to officials throughout this year, they say over and over again, if there is any doubt, that flag is going to be thrown, because the mandate from the Rules Committee and from the NCAA is we have to protect players. Right. And it's not just offensive players going over the middle, getting hit by a safety crossing. Yeah. In that situation, Matongi Ese, is a defensive tackle away from the play, is hit helmet to helmet by Famika Anai. Yeah,
I think they just missed that one. And maybe there was a thought that he had a very brief moment to protect himself, but not in my view. In my view, he was defenseless, and that should have been flagged.
And let's now check in with Chris Cotter.
All right, Carter, time for a Sports Center right now. Day 1 at the Ryder Cup went very well for Team USA despite Tiger Woods being shut out. Phil Mickelson, Keegan Bradley paired up twice on the day and won 2 points for Team USA. They lead 5-3 right now heading into Saturday morning. Major setback for the Washington Wizards. Point guard John Wall is going to miss about 8 weeks, recovering from a non-traumatic stress fracture to one of his knees.
Jamel Hill from Lavelle Edwards Stadium. The player down on the field for Hawaii, Siasau Matongi Ese. This injury delay has gone over 10 minutes. The earlier injury delay when Jordan Hano was taken off the field on a stretcher was 9 minutes. So Lavelle Edwards Stadium has been silent with these 2 major injuries to Hawaii defensive players. Jamel Hill told us Hano has been taken to a local hospital, and now Matongi Ese will be lifted on a stretcher. This will be the second defensive tackle who has left this game for Hawaii on a stretcher. Add to that Moses Samia out for the year, and huge injury concerns for the Hawaii Warrior football team.
Well, and at some point it becomes almost impossible to defend the run because you no longer have tackles, nose guards, and they like to play a 4-3 front. They want 4 defensive linemen. Well, they've lost a lot of their bigger guys inside now, which makes it even tougher for them in this ball game and certainly going forward. It's bad enough to see this once in a game. To see this twice in the first quarter in the opening minutes, I'm not sure that I've seen that before.
It has totally changed the demeanor here in Provo, Utah at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, as BYU opening touchdown, exactly what the BYU fans wanted to see after the offensive struggles early. But now it is, the sole focus is on these 2 severely injured Hawaii defensive players. Siasau Matongi Ese, the junior from Waimea, Hawaii, being lifted on the stretcher. He is the second Hawaii player to leave this game in the first 7 minutes of game time to be carted off the field. And although Matongi Ese is strapped to that stretcher, we have seen him move. We have seen Matongi Ese move. We saw Jordan Hano give a thumbs up as he left the field. And again, when we receive any word on the condition of Siasau Matongi Ese, we will pass that along to you. If we receive any further injury information on Jordan Hano, the senior, There's a thumbs up from Matongiese. We will pass that along as well. A somber first quarter here at BYU. But it is back to football as the second Hawaii defensive player is carted off. Remember, all the way back almost 15 minutes ago to the first down play, there was a holding call against BYU. So this is now first down and 20 for BYU. Taysom Hill completes to Mendenhall, who is knocked out of bounds. Tamatuia on the stop.
But you see the game plan, the short passes, the yards after the catch. Brandon Doman, again, the offensive coordinator, really trying to take care of his quarterback and also get the ball in the air. He's been under heat here in Provo because the offense has not been as explosive as they normally see.
Taysom Hill is 5 for 5, but only 55 yards. So a short passing game and the ground game to start for BYU. Now Hill's going to take his first shot deep. It is batted away and incomplete. Mike Edwards knocks it away from Cody Hoffman. That's Edwards, the outstanding junior cornerback from Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, yeah, and you watch him on tape. He's having a great year. Very good in man-to-man coverage, press coverage, gets his hands on the receiver, has good catch-up speed, and knows how to play the football in the air.
Edwards spent his freshman year at Tennessee, got in trouble, got kicked off the team. 1 year at Coffeyville Community College, and now the best player on Hawaii's defense. On 3rd and 19. Hill rolling. Now he's going to tuck it and run across the 50. Hill has the first down to the 40, to the Hawaii 39. On 3rd and 19, Taysom Hill converts with a scramble.
Just see the speed. It's one thing to have a quarterback who's mobile. It's another thing to have a guy that has flat-out speed. We've seen him change direction, and now he just turns the jet sweep. Once he gets to the corner, he makes up his mind to go. Watch the speed. He runs by linebackers.
Taysom Hill, 55 passing yards, 40 rushing yards. Option, nobody there, so Hill dropped for no gain.
Now this Hawaii defense has certainly been challenged this season. You mentioned Nevada, 355 yards rushing last week. Defense is ranked number 119 against the run.
And they are without 2 of their defensive tackles, who sadly have both left the field of play on stretchers, taken away in ambulances. That's Siasau Matongiese. As the game continues, Matongiese leaves in an ambulance. Jamaal Williams carries for about 8.
You know, you can only lose so many defensive linemen before it really affects your game plan. I mean, all week long, the Hawaii guys and all season, they've played a 4-3 front. Yeah, they believe in that approach to defense. I don't think they can play that now. And I'm seeing changes here. I think they're going to a 3-4 front more often now because they don't have enough guys to play 4-down linemen any longer. They're in a 3-4 now.
Well, the linebackers creeping up on 3rd and 4. Taysom Hill releases, and it is intercepted. Naquan Phillips, the true freshman from Miami, picks it off for Hawaii. BYU turns it over on the second drive. Bronco Mendenhall told us the one thing he wanted to see from his offense, more than touchdowns, more than physicality running the football, was ball security. Hill throws an interception, his first as a BYU Cougar on this drive.
Well, and freshman mistake, 22 or 18, doesn't matter. You have to pick out a receiver. He had 2. He threw in between the 2 receivers right where Phillips was sitting. He had a guy short and had a guy long. And he went for the guy in the middle that wasn't his guy.
Both quarterbacks have thrown an interception. Now Schroeder tosses to Will Gregory on 1st and 10. He is dropped by Brandon Ogletree, the captain of this BYU defense.
How good has this defense been for BYU this season?
13th in the nation, 12.5 points per game. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. They went toe-to-toe with Boise State last week, shut them down. They really haven't given up an awful lot. By all rights, they should have been in overtime in that game last week.
But, of course, the two-point conversion call by Bronco Mendenhall that failed in a 7-6 loss to Boise State. Play action on 2nd and 14. Schroeder throws complete. First down, Hawaii. That is Billy Ray Stutzman coming back from a hand injury who makes a grab. ESPN NASCAR Sprint Cup on Sunday. The Monster Mile at Dover, where points leader Jimmy Johnson is right at home. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover presented by GoDaddy.com. Sunday, 1 Eastern on ESPN. Sean Schroeder, the former Duke Blue Devil who barely saw the field for the Duke football team in his first year as the starting quarterback for Hawaii, completes. That is Stutzman again, and a big addition coming back from injury, Billy Ray Stutzman.
Yeah, 2 straight catches, and he's run a couple of nice routes. BYU doesn't play a lot of man-to-man coverage, but they have the last couple of times. Schroeder's recognized it, and he's gone to his quick receiver to take advantage of it.
What do you think man defense from BYU these last couple of...
Well, Hawaii was running the ball, and so they brought another guy down to support the run and went to man coverage.
Schroeder, the junior from Laguna Niguel, California, joined by Gregory in the backfield. On 2nd and 5, it is caught short of a first down. It will be 3rd down and short for the Warriors.
You know, this Hawaii defense is changing. For years, it was the run and shoot. June Jones, Mouse Davis created it over there, brought it there. And now it's going back to the West Coast tight end, fullback, and a big 3rd down. They should be better able to run the football in situations like this, they hope.
Gregory stood up and dropped. Brandon Ogletree, the first BYU defender there. So a Hawaii team who is trying to build to run the football is stuffed on 3rd and 1.
Yeah, they want to be a physical running football team, but it's hard to flip that switch overnight and go from a run and shoot to a power running team. You got to learn how to block those guys up front like that. You got to learn how to run tough. And BYU's front 7, they're pretty tough.
Hawaii has been woeful punting because they haven't had their starting punter. Alex Donaki suspended the first 3 games. So Donaki's first punt of the year hits inside the 10. Warriors can't get to it. BYU football at the 20. Friday Focus. Hashtag Friday Focus. Indiana heading up to Northwestern for the Big Ten matchup. Virginia Tech with an odd one at FedEx Field for what is officially a Cincinnati home game.
That one is under the radar, might be pretty good.
UCLA, Space Shuttle Endeavor, and then Washington State against Oregon. Perhaps another thriller coming in Seattle. Monday, Thursday, and now Saturday night, Washington State and Oregon. Much more from Friday Focus as all of college football gets ready for the big day on Saturday. Jamaal Williams, first down carry for BYU. Daly makes the stop. Daly Lyles makes the stop.
You know, not a lot of hype about this weekend because there's only one top 20 matchup. But again, the last time we saw that in week 2, we had maybe 4, I believe, top 20 teams that were upset. So this underrated weekend could be under the radar. And if you saw last night, top 10 team Stanford went down to an unranked Washington team. You
were the first to bring it up, might I add, Ron.
Yeah.
I was not going to be the one to bring that one up.
You were just looking at me a certain way.
On 2nd and 2, Hill escapes the pressure, throws downfield, incomplete. 3rd and 2 coming. We check in with Jamel.
Carter and Rod, injuries are impacting both sidelines. Running back Michael Alisa for BYU, he is out for the game with a forearm injury.
So that means 2 defenders out of the game for Hawaii. Michael Alisa, the starting running back for BYU, is out. Joey Iosefa, who hoped to return for Hawaii, is not expected to play in this game. Impacts the ground game in a lot of different ways. See if BYU can convert on 3rd and 2. Heavy pressure coming, so the slant complete. Falslev makes the grab, move the chains. BYU quick hitter through the air on 3rd and 2.
Well, good job by Hill. He recognized the blitz coming inside and got rid of the ball quickly. That's what you want out of a veteran quarterback. It's great out of a freshman quarterback. And I almost feel guilty calling him a freshman.
22 years old. He was 19 when he left for his LDS mission. Again, he was committed to Stanford, but he has already delivered more passing yards tonight than BYU had against Boise State, and what Riley Nelson called an embarrassing performance by him in the offense. Nelson injured, didn't take a snap this week in practice. Hill on 1st and 10, scrambling, diving for a BYU first down across the 50.
See, when we talk about athletic, it's not just speed. I mean, it's running instincts. It's the change of direction. Watch the quick feet. The quick feet are so impressive. How about that? That's what running backs do. Change direction like that. That's your quarterback. That's a special talent.
Well, Riley Nelson said when he made his first start as a freshman, people talked it up and talked about how the speed of the game was going to be so much more, difficult. So his message to Taysom Hill was, it's football. You play football. Just keep on doing what you do. Williams gets the handoff from Hill. Williams breaks it to the 25. Williams all the way down to the 21-yard line. And the BYU offense that has been stymied in 2012 starting to get on track.
Nice job up front by an offensive line that really hasn't played together. Talk about a Nye on that right guard spot. Hansen at the center spot. First time playing center. Nice job up front. And no bad snaps.
Before the end of the first quarter, a defensive timeout by Hawaii prior to 1st down and 10. So a timeout for Hawaii, trailing 7-0 to BYU. The only top 20 matchup in college football tomorrow is Ohio State, Michigan State. College game day built by the Home Depot is there. And yes, DeAnthony Thomas and Snoop. It is a story of how the man who is now known as Snoop Lion, no longer Snoop Dogg, but how Snoop Lion helped the football career of DeAnthony Thomas.
Yeah, and people think you don't know that, but you've been on top of that for a while. I know you know.
Snoop Lion. As he's known now. But Rod, you talked about how this is, with only one top 20 matchup, this is one of those weeks where if you do have a number next to your name, it's time to bring it and avoid being one of those upset teams.
Yeah, you think about Florida State going to South Florida. I mean, Florida State lost to South Florida a couple years ago. B.J. Daniel had a nice game against them. That could be a tough one.
That was B.J. Daniels as a freshman, and that is the end of the first quarter. An odd first quarter, but the score is BYU 7, Hawaii 0.
Turn this town upside down, watch and see. They're gonna be on Friday night. They're gonna get it out of line. They're gonna be on Friday night. They're gonna go on and on.
Range, a beautiful backdrop at Lavelle Edwards Stadium for Hawaii and BYU. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Russell Athletic. Part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. Carter Blackburn, Rod Gilmore, Jamel Hill. Start of the second quarter. It is 2nd down and 10 for Taysom Hill and the BYU offense. Hill stands and delivers. It is complete, and it is a BYU touchdown. Ross Oppo into the end zone. 22-yard touchdown grab, and BYU has a 2-touchdown lead. An interception for Taysom Hill, but he responds with a touchdown pass to Ross Oppo. On an 80-yard touchdown drive, Riley Stevenson puts the PAT through. It's 14-0 BYU on Hawaii. The true freshman Taysom Hill, 22 years old. Interception in the game, and now he has a touchdown pass, just his 2nd as a BYU Cougar. And there's Riley Nelson, the injured senior quarterback, over there to greet him, and they share a smile.
Yeah, well, he's having a heck of a night. He's been the offense. Let's go back to this touchdown. Watch what they do here with Oppo. He's going to run a crossing route into the vacated area where the blitz comes from. The problem here is the blitz doesn't get home in time. And because the blitz doesn't get there, that thing is wide open.
With a nice little rub there from Friel, the tight end, to help Ross Oppo on the crossing route.
Yeah, well, you know, you get that when you have these bunch formations.
And Bronco Mendenhall has kicked the PAT on the first 2 opportunities for BYU.
Well, his point in the Boise State game, down 7-6 late in the game, 3+ minutes ago, he thought the momentum was there to get back.
And that is what everyone on the BYU football team following their head coach's lead and supporting him. We check in with Chris. I don't believe in the jinx, especially when it comes from Chris in the studio. I don't believe in it.
Well, but if it goes down now, Chris is going to get a note from a lot of Cincinnati Reds fans.
Here at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, Sean Schroeder throwing incomplete off the hands of Billy Ray Stutzman.
Well, this Hawaii offense has struggled to run the football. What did they have? 10 yards rushing in the first quarter on 5 attempts. Schroeder is really the offense. They want to run it, but they can't get anything going right now. And they're going to have to rely on his arm an awful lot.
Maybe that's why the quizzical look from Norm Chow. Gregory picks his way for maybe 4, but 3rd down coming for Hawaii as the Warriors try and get the ground game going.
And part of the reason for running is to try and give your defense a breather, give them a chance to rest up. They've been worked by the BYU offense so far, so it's a big 3rd down. You got to pick up this 3rd down and give that defense a little bit of time on the sideline, or else they're right back in the way.
Especially with a depleted Hawaii defense.
Absolutely.
So the offense trying to give the Warriors a lift on 3rd and 6. Blitz coming. Schroeder throws right into it. But hit as soon as he grabs it, Trevor Davis. Craig Bills, the sophomore safety, with a terrific tackle on the receiver Davis.
Yes, this defense is really good. That was really well coordinated. They brought a corner blitz and then run the ball right now. Takes too long to get there, and watch the play as Craig Bills, the nickelback, comes in and makes a nice tackle. That's well coordinated defensively.
So the Warriors can't convert on 3rd down. They are 0 for 2 on 3rd down, and they will put their defense back on the field. Alex Denaki hits it at the 15. Falslev lets it bounce, and it takes a big Hawaii roll. Falslev upset with himself as it rolls all the way to the 13. A 61-yard punt has flipped the field here in Provo. Back in Provo, Utah. A 14-0 start for BYU on Hawaii. 13:08 to go here in the 2nd quarter. Carter Blackburn, Rod Gilmore, Jamel Hill. 1st and 10 for Taysom Hill in the BYU offense. It's Jamaal Williams for 3. Well, the only matchup between top 20 teams is this one, Ohio State versus Michigan State. 3:30 Eastern on ABC, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, and a chance to check out the outstanding sophomore Braxton Miller.
We're starting to get to the point where we start looking at the Heisman. You're getting close to October, and you got 2 guys, Miller and Bell, worth watching.
And College Game Day is there, beginning 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPNU, 10 a.m. on ESPN. Williams gets the 2nd down carry, and he pulls a Le'Veon Bell as he goes hurtling across the 25 and gets to the 30. Nice move there from Jamaal Williams. That's Le'Veon Bell-esque.
Yeah, somewhat. Well, you know, the guys will be there, East Lansing, and they'll get a good up-close look at Le'Veon Bell and Game Day in East Lansing. That could be fun.
Guest picker. Who's going to be out there at the end of College Game Day tomorrow?
You got a guess?
Well, I mean, I immediately think Tom Izzo. I think Magic Johnson.
That's boring. Been done before.
They've done it before. So we're lucky to know a notable Michigan State alum As Hill throws that incomplete. That notable Michigan State alum is on our sideline, Jamel Hill.
Yeah, I was going to say, guys, it can't be me, and we all know I'm a big deal, and I'm here on the sidelines hanging out with you guys, and I'm just as curious because no magic, can't be Mateen. They got to come up with something really, really creative, I think.
Well, I think the
well, she could get a red eye.
I think the folks at the production truck have some ideas as well, which they will surprise us with as we discuss the surprise guest picker. We will see.
Kirk Gibson. I'm going Kirk.
Oh yeah, Gibby. Yeah, although I guess he is still wrapped up at the end of the baseball season. That's Oppo complete on the screen. Oppo is wrestled down for a loss. Tony Grimes leads the way for Hawaii. It'll be 3rd down and long. Now, Judd Heathcote mostly hangs out in Spokane, Washington. But yes, the man who really got Michigan State basketball rolling. And if it is Judd Heathcote, you know you're going to get something colorful.
Oh, man.
Jamel?
Well, true story. I had, when I went to Michigan State, I had Judd Heathcote's coaching basketball class. It was one of my electives, one of the most difficult classes I've ever had. 150 question final. Are you serious, Judd?
Yikes. Did you pass? I guess so. You got the degree. Hill on the roll on 3rd and long. Taysom Hill. Everyone's covered, so Hill will take the sack all the way back inside the 20 to Vito Woodard, the junior from Honolulu. Gets to Taysom Hill, and the Hawaii defense comes up big.
Yeah, nice big effort by that Hawaii defense. Couple of great plays out there. Tony Grimes with that big hit on the other side, and then to come back and get this one, they'll get the ball back. Probably the best starting field position they've had all night.
Riley Stevenson will punt. Scott Harding back to receive. Hawaii goes for the block. Good punt. Harding lets it bounce, and it bounces out near the 20-yard line. Well, whomever is the guest picker on game day tomorrow, if they miss one, they're going to be doing that. Ouch. It's a red spot. Go down, and the BYU folks are happy to see a 14-0 lead on the scoreboard against Hawaii after they only got 6 last Thursday in a loss to Boise State. So a Hawaii offense who was 0 for 2 on 3rd down, only 3 first downs for the Warriors. Back out on the field with Sean Schroeder, the junior, former Duke Blue Devil, under center. Schroeder to throw on 1st down. It is incomplete. Knocked away by Joe Sampson. We check in with Chris Carter.
We're satisfying fans' endless appetite with this Olive Garden studio update. Look at this slate of games we have for you on the ESPN networks. Starting at 3:30 on ABC, Ohio State, Michigan State. Le'Veon Bell, 2 200-yard games already this year. Might be tougher sledding against Ohio State, though, Carter.
Although Urban Meyer says his defense is painful to watch right now. That's Urban Meyer talking.
Urban is nothing but honest.
Schroeder to throw on 2nd down. Finds his check down Gregory for a gain of 6. There's a flag down. Brandon Ogletree there on the stop.
Holding. Offense. Number 62. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Norm Chow is trying to change this Hawaii offense, but there is clearly still a ways to go.
Well, he's moving to the West Coast, but he doesn't have any playmakers, any difference makers, guys who can get you chunks of yardage, guys who can make a guy miss and go away. So that's missing from this offense. So he's trying to scheme to get yards instead of letting a guy make a play at times. And that guy can disrupt you
in a variety of ways. This is Ansah with his hand up on 2nd and 20. Gregory across the 20, across the 25. Gregory's put Hawaii back in 3rd short.
You see Ansah run down the field. I mean, 270 plus pounds. Yesterday we were told he's about 280 pounds. A great stride, and the NFL scouts have been flocking here to see him because he does a number of things. He's to the left of your screen. You'll see the end of him as he comes showing up with his speed to just, there he is right there. He runs very well. He can drop it to pass coverage, and he can rush the quarterback. I mean, that's NFL stuff.
So he puts his hand down now on 3rd and 2. Play action. Schroeder pressured. Schroeder to the sideline, flings it across his body. It's complete for a Hawaii first down. Schroeder nearly ran out of bounds before he throws back across his body to find Craig Kofer.
How did he do that? Schroeder is not that fast, not that quick, but he just manages to buy more and more time and keep his eyes down the field and squeezes this one in there. What a play.
Talk about Hawaii looking for playmakers. Their left-handed QB converts for the first time on 3rd down. That's the first 3rd down conversion for Hawaii. So from 2nd and 20, they convert. And now back to the run game. Gregory, maybe a yard.
You talked about Ansah putting his hand on the ground. That's another example. He stays in tight, plays the run defense, and a big guy that can run like that, you know, it tells you why he's all of a sudden become such a hot commodity, a hot prospect for the NFL.
Because he can play in basically a 3-4, a 4-3 outside linebacker.
He's so versatile. You can play him on the edge. You can play him as a linebacker. You can ask him to do pass coverage. You can ask him to rush the quarterback.
He put pads on for the first time 3 years ago. He's out of the game on 2nd and 8. Schroeder's pass is incomplete, and the BYU defense has forced Hawaii into 3rd and long.
And this is when BYU comes with their 3rd down package. They try to get after the quarterback.
Onsen not on the field for this 3rd down and long. Only 2 hands on the ground in the middle of the BYU defense. As Schroeder goes rolling, Schroeder throws incomplete. Knocked away by Jordan Johnson, the corner, intended for Jeremiah Ostrowski. Like with A.J. McCarron, I would say A+.
10 touchdowns, no picks. McCarron's playing great quarterback ball right now.
He manages to get it off. J.D. Falslev inside the 10. Falslev trying to find a cutback, only to the 13. Well, a beautiful night all around for BYU fans. Sun setting here on Provo and a 14-0 lead on the scoreboard. Well, Chris, if there's a base hit for those Pittsburgh Pirates, you know you're going to hear it. Just be prepared.
He's going to hear it from the #1 Reds fan, Kirk Herbstreit.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure Kirk is keeping an eye on the no-hitter and BYU Hawaii getting ready for game day tomorrow. Williams on 1st and 10. Another 8 yards on the ground for BYU. They've been in the end zone twice, 2 PATs. Celebrating its 8th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $2.8 million in scholarship monies. 2nd and short for Taysom Hill and the BYU offense. The freshman for the Cougars getting his first start because of the injury to Riley Nelson, the senior. Williams, cut back, first down. Jamaal Williams across the 30. Solid run by Jamaal Williams. We check in again with Jamel Hill.
Yeah, guys, I talked to Riley Nelson before the game and asked him what he told Taysom Hill. And he said he just tried to feed him confidence. And he told him, whenever you run a play, don't have any doubt that the play won't work. And I'd say he's definitely playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Nelson encouraging Hill on the sideline. Hill getting contributions from Jamaal Williams. And then taking it himself, Taysom Hill into Hawaii territory. Taysom Hill will take it all the way into the end zone himself. Touchdown, BYU. A 68-yard touchdown run from Taysom Hill. Riley Nelson all smiles on the sideline watching the freshman Hill go 68 yards for the touchdown.
He brings an added dimension to the BYU offense.
Stevenson's PAT is blocked. The PAT is no good, so it's 20-0 BYU on Hawaii.
I mean, you're talking about a quarterback who's got some shape, changed direction, and then has flat-out speed, outrunning cornerbacks. BYU up 20-0. Wow.
Already has 118 rushing yards. Add that to 78 through the air, and a pair of touchdowns. One passing, one rushing. Rod, is this cause for optimism with the BYU offense with the way that Taysom Hill has led the Cougars so far?
I think it's going to be cause for people saying they have a quarterback issue here, and I don't know that that's fair or appropriate. I think Riley Nelson only played poorly 2 weeks because he was hurt. I think Riley Nelson's a good quarterback. It'll be fine, but man, this guy's put on the show tonight.
Quarterback issue again. Remember, Jake Heaps and Riley Nelson battle for the job. Heaps is now a Kansas Jayhawk. Friday Focus. Check it out. Hashtag Friday Focus on Twitter. That's Chase Redding with our Danny Cannell for BC and Clemson. Missouri's headed to Central Florida.
Texas Tech. They get Iowa State getting off the plane. Bring the pig home. Floyd of Rosedale. Minnesota and Iowa. All right. When that chair goes that way, you got to move in here. What's your job? What's your job? Answer the question, Carter.
Block. No, well, that's Manny Diaz, the defensive coordinator for the Texas Longhorns. So the answer is complete your tackle. Low man always wins, Rod. We know that. Billy Ray Stutzman there on the grab. So the chair is really going to have the advantage when it's low man always wins.
But it's so classic because coaches will give you a walkthrough anywhere. In the parking lot, in the ballroom.
I guarantee you right now, it's Friday night. All these teams are getting ready. And that's exactly, there's hotels around the country where the parking lots, the chairs from the ballrooms are being utilized. Gregory gets the handoff on 1st and 10. Strangest place you had to walk through, Rod?
It was in a parking lot. They moved us out of the hotel into the parking lot, and there were, you had fire hydrants, you had cars, you whatnot, you had all this stuff around you. You just worked around it. What do? You don't need a whole lot of room to get a walkthrough in.
Hawaii down 20-0 here in the first half against BYU. Gregory fumbles the football. Who's on top? Looks like Schroeder recovers. We will see. There is a flag down on the play. Going to be holding on the offense, but Schroeder does get back on top.
Offense, number 86, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
You just closed up too soon. He never felt the ball inside and closed the basket, so the ball came out.
And here's where we point out that Joey Iosef is injured.
You know what Norm Chow's thinking? I need a timeout. No. We asked him, he was telling, what was the oddest thing about being a head coach? He said, during the USC game, first game of the year, I was saying, boy, we could use a timeout. Boy, somebody ought to call a timeout. Hey, I'm the head coach. I'm supposed to call the timeout.
That's a guy who has had a lot of experience as an assistant, including the 27 years here at BYU. But yes, at age 66, he's a head coach for the first time. Schroeder heaves it on 2nd and 14. That's incomplete, out of bounds. Intended for Ostrowski. Update on the 2 injured players for Hawaii, the defensive tackles, Siasau Matangi Esse, Jordan Hanohano. They are both at the hospital. X-rays are negative, which is good news for Hawaii.
And Schroeder here trying to get rid of this ball under a lot of duress from Ziggy Ansah.
Let's go to Chris Carter.
Carter, we're going to get you back to Lavelle Edwards Stadium in a bit. Thought you might want to see his.
Played the ball.
But it's only 15 yards in college football.
Well, and you take that instead of giving up the touchdown.
Hill from the shotgun on 1st and 10, joined by Jamaal Williams. Williams makes the grab on 1st and 10. Williams gets a nice block from Anai, and Williams is across the 35. Jamaal Williams, the freshman from Fontana, California. He has 97 rushing yards already for BYU, getting more carries because Michael Alisa out for the game. Hill, pressure. Taysom Hill is sacked back at the 42. Aku Correa gets to him.
Well, that's a chance for this Hawaii defense to get something positive going. You know, they've had a lot of adversity tonight, losing a couple players up front. Good pressure from the outside. And they stay with it. They never ever quit on this thing, and they finally get the sack. The defense that's giving up over 200 yards rushing in this game already.
Timeout by BYU prior to 2nd down and long. That's the offensive coordinator, Brandon Doman. They're with Taysom Hill. But, Rod, we know that the numbers aren't good for defensively Hawaii. I mean, they got run on by Nevada, 355. They're giving up 40 points a game on average. But, I mean, how much of this is offensive execution by BYU? How much of it is a bad defense by Hawaii?
Well, it's hard to say that it's great defense, particularly when you lose 2 of your defensive linemen, your interior guys. They're down 3 interior defensive linemen. So it ought to be easier for BYU to run the football, and they're taking full advantage of it. I mean, Hawaii's just trying to hang on and play hard right now.
Hill from the shotgun, throwing on 2nd and 17. It's complete, and that's Jamaal Williams out of the backfield for the grab.
And what it's going to take for Hawaii defensively, and they have to roll the dice. They got to use run blitzes. They cannot simply sit in there, and they know this, and try and go man on man and measure up. They can't. They've lost too many players. So the only way to stop it is run blitzes, but then you've got single coverage, and you're risky on the back end.
3rd and 11 here. 3 receivers to the top. Hill over the middle, complete. Hoffman makes the grab. He's ridden down, minimal gain. Mike Sellers, the strong safety, brings down Cody Hoffman. So 4th down coming from the 31.
And good use of pressure, and they'll bring more pressure. Hawaii will, as the game goes along. They'll have to do it. They don't have a whole lot of choice there. And here, 4th down in no man's territory.
Offense stays on the field.
Yeah, and that's a long field goal, so yeah, you go for it.
BYU 5 for 6 on 4th down this year. This is 4th and 7. Williams motions out. Pooch punt. Hill. Oh, showing off another skill. He hangs the pooch punt up there, but Friel couldn't get to it, or Williams. So Kaneakua Friel had the best chance to grab that one right around the 5.
How about Hill having the night for himself, huh? Trying a little bit of everything.
Let's see, as a passer, he's 10 for 14, 88. Running the football, he has 111 yards and a long touchdown run, and now the pooch punt that his fellow offensive teammates let him down on. Hawaii offense back on the field. Sean Schroeder, the junior quarterback, is now 8 for 14. Manages to sail that one to Chris Gant right over the hands of Kyle Van Noy.
Well, Schroeder's having a nice game. They just can't get any yards after the catch.
Less than a minute to go before the half. Schroeder pass batted down over the middle. It's Ezekiel Ensah who gets there to knock it down.
Yeah, well, he's a tall guy, just over 6'6", and got length. This defense is really something.
Over the first time since Tom Browning's perfect game, the Cincinnati Reds have a no-hitter. Much more coming up on the HP halftime report. Here in Provo, Utah, it's 20-0. BYU on Hawaii. Warriors facing 3rd and 7. Schroeder, pressured. Schroeder is going to heave it from the sideline again. This one's incomplete. He had an improbable conversion on 3rd down earlier. Now, with the big sports headline of the day goes to Homer Bailey, as the Reds' terrific 2012 season is winding the regular season down in a good way. So the first time since that perfect game from Tom Browning, Bailey's no-hitter.
Wow. Pretty good year for the Reds.
Indeed. And no jinx from Chris Cougars.
No, he got off the hook on that one.
Much more on the baseball pennant races and the football weekend to come. Coming up on the HB halftime report. Alex Danaki's punt. Fair catch called for by Falslev right around the 35. So just 36 seconds left in a half that has been dominated by BYU. Rod, we talked about Hawaii.
Truthfully dominated by Hill.
Yeah, and this was, if you're an offense in need of a confidence boost, and clearly Brandon Doman's offense was in need of a confidence boost, even if Hawaii's banged up, depleted, giving up a ton of yards on the ground, doesn't this make you feel good as an offense going into the half?
They all needed it. Brandon Doman, as the offensive coordinator, needed it. He needed to have a night where things clicked and people would stop complaining about the offense. They needed good quarterback play. And Riley Nelson needed to rest.
Yona Pritchard in at running back. Hill, slant, incomplete. Here's what the offensive coordinator, Brandon Doman, said. He just feels the tension of fans wanting to cut it loose because this is, after all, quarterback year.
Well, you feel the pressure. Mark Wilson, Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Ty Detmer. I mean, these are guys that built the tradition of BYU quarterback play. And when you don't live up to that, you hear about it.
And to quote a guy who wears a white suit who's not Desmond Howard, Ty Detmer's not walking through that door. Steve Young is not walking through that door. Jake Heaps is a Kansas Jayhawk now. Hill incomplete.
Well, incomplete or fumble was the arm coming forward.
And Bronco Mendenhall is going to run out there on the field and call a timeout. 19 seconds left. Pai Falimelo, the defensive end, is the one who got to Taysom Hill. It was ruled an incomplete pass. Let's see.
Well, if there's any possibility of the hand coming forward, and there is, once you have any movement forward or any doubt that it's coming forward, it must be ruled an incomplete pass. That is the way the rule reads on that. So you've got some forward movement right there as he starts the arm up. That is good enough to make it an incomplete pass.
So he's got the football as the arm's going forward. It's hit as he throws, and that is an incomplete pass. But at least Falemalu puts pressure on Taysom Hill, something Hawaii has not been able to do tonight. And again, 2 defensive tackles have left this game in ambulances for Hawaii. Siasau Matongiese, Jordan Hanohano. X-rays are negative for major injuries for those 2, which is good news for Hawaii.
Great news. Great news.
Taysom Hill in his first start for the BYU Cougars. 3rd and 9. Low snap. Hill is going to scramble, and Hill has a first down. Even after the low snap from Braden Hansen, who's starting his first game at center, Hill scoops it and runs for a first down. BYU's going to push it. In fact, spike it. 8 seconds left. So the Cougars are going to play this one all the way to the end of the half.
I'm not sure I get it. I mean, if you have a 4th down at about, what, the 32, and you decide to pooch punt it, why not just go for it on that 4th down? If you come back now and you got to go a longer way and you try and squeeze it, I'm not sure I kind of get that one.
But do you want to take a shot? I mean, 8 seconds left. You've got.
Well, why not? But I would have. I thought you would have had a better shot when you had a 4th and 4 and you're at the 31 and you've been running all over him. That's, to me, that made better sense to take a shot there.
And there's a timeout left for BYU, so Unlikely you could get the completion downfield without getting in the end zone, get the timeout call, but still a possibility. 6 seconds, Hill pressured. Hill's going to tuck it, and he's going to scramble. 3 seconds, 2. Hill is dropped at the 30, so he pads his rushing numbers for the night. Says hello to a few of the Hawaii defenders and says, we're up 20-0. And Taysom Hill has over 100 rushing yards. He has a passing touchdown. He has a rushing touchdown. 145 rushing yards in the first half for Taysom Hill in his first start as the BYU quarterback, and the Cougar offense that has struggled in 2012 getting a boost in the first half tonight against the Hawaii Warriors.
Well, Hill has been the answer for the BYU offense. I mean, he's done it all, and he's done it really running the football. That really set up everything else. Short passes got him going, but it was the running that opened up the ball game.
254 rushing yards in the half for BYU. We check in with Jamaal Hill.
Coach, you were looking for a breakout from your offense. How do you rate how they performed in the first half?
It's the best we played, I think, so far this year. Obviously, our quarterback, just with his legs, can do a lot of damage. We had a tailback that broke his arm, and so a freshman came in. So 2 freshmen. Future looks pretty bright right now offensively, seeing those 2 guys.
You mentioned Taysom Hill. He ran for a long touchdown. We even saw him punt toward the end of the half. What do you think of his performance?
He's very versatile, and again, our players respect him, and he's a great leader, and it's a good half. We need another half.
Now, you realize with his performance, you may have created a quarterback controversy. What do you think of that?
No, we have a starter. Taysom's the understudy as soon as Riley comes back.
Thank you, Coach.
Taysom Hill, the freshman, the starting quarterback tonight, has 146 rushing yards, and the Cougars have a 20-0 lead. In the 29th meeting between BYU and Hawaii, the score and all of the numbers looking good for BYU as we get set for the start of the third quarter. Carter Blackburn, Rod Gilmore, Jamaal Hill, our Friday night crew from Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah. Second half kickoff by Justin Sorensen is fielded by Mike Edwards, who will bring it out of the end zone for Hawaii. Edwards to near the 18.
We came into this game, and I think every BYU fan came into this game, Rod, saying, all right, we need a spark on offense, and maybe it's Taysom Hill. He said yes in the first half. He is that spark.
Yeah, he's done it both ways. I mean, he's thrown the ball effectively, and he's just run like crazy. I mean, his change of direction, his speed has been phenomenal, and that's been the difference, not to mention some injuries with Hawaii has really depleted their defense.
Well, Hawaii gave up 355 rushing yards to Nevada. That looked like a bad number because it was.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. Number 34, 5-yard penalty. First down.
At the half, BYU has 255 rushing yards on Hawaii.
Yeah, Nevada got, 355 last week, and you're looking at a Hawaii defense, that is depleted. That hurts them. So now they need turnovers, and they need big plays on offense.
Both teams are playing without their starting running backs. Joey Iosefa out for the second straight game for Hawaii as we check in with Jamaal Hill.
Guys, I talked to Norm Chow at halftime. I asked him what kind of emotional impact did that have on his team to lose CSL and to lose Jordan Hanu. And he said, we can't feel sorry for ourselves. We can't make excuses. He also has some other injury news to report. They have lost their right guard and right tackle. That would be Dave Lafotu and Sean Shigamase. They have lost both of those guys for this game.
So both offensive and defensive lines dealing with injuries, and you're seeing the consequences for Hawaii. That's Spencer Hadley who recovers, and he is into the end zone for a touchdown. Ansah comes up with the football. He's into the end zone. It was Spencer Hadley who knocked it away, fumbling at the goal line, and Ziggy Ansah recovers for a BYU touchdown.
Was the arm going forward? That is, like every play, reviewed. Remember, any movement forward by the arm means incomplete pass. That's pretty quick, but it looks like that pass, like that arm is coming up.
So again, the fumble recovered by Ansah. It's Van Noy and Ansah who get the pressure on Schroeder, force what's called a fumble. Hadley picks it up, fumbles at the goal line. Ansah recovers, touchdown BYU. But the replay booth will take a look.
Yeah, every play is reviewed. And remember, the tie goes to the quarterback. If there's any doubt about whether the arm is going forward, then it is an incomplete pass.
Our replay official tonight is Justin Howard. And keep in mind, in college football, it's the replay official who has the final judgment. There's no referee going under the hood.
And again, he's looking at this left arm. Does it come forward at all? Is there a question about it coming forward? I think that arm comes up, and the fact that it's coming up raises some doubt, and that doubt is supposed to go to the quarterback.
So while he is possessing the football, is the arm moving forward?
You
That's
see
the
the upward movement there by the arm? The upward movement is the start of a throw as far as the rule book is concerned, my understanding of it.
So not only is the replay booth going to see if that is a fumble or an incomplete pass, but to see whether the fumble, whether Hadley is down at the 1. Ansah appears to recover it.
Yeah, you look for the knee. There's the right knee down. He's got possession of the ball, so it would appear that he's down at about the 2-yard line there, or the 1.5.
So again, the two issues for the replay official, Justin Howard. Is it a fumble? Is it a pass? If it is a fumble, is Spencer Hadley down? So there's his knee down. Is he in possession of the football as that knee is down?
Knee down, there's ball.
The replay officials always tell us they're looking for a clear picture. So if they see that knee down and Hadley holding on to the football,
After review, the quarterback did fumble the ball, and it was picked up. By the player that picked it up, his knee was down with control before he fumbled the ball into the end zone. The ball was fumbled when the knee was down at the 2.5. It'll be BYU's ball, 1st and goal at the 2.5.
So on the quarterback play, the arm going forward, not enough evidence, or I should say, they determined that he fumbled, that the arm was not going forward.
Now Ziggy Ansah looked disappointed. He thought he had his first career touchdown.
He's come 7,000 miles and thought he had a touchdown.
So the replay official Justin Howard does a nice job in a prompt manner, saying yes, that's a fumble. Yes, we have a clear picture. Hadley down at the 2.5. So now it's 1st and goal BYU. Taysom Hill and the Cougar offense, their first appearance of the second half. Hill, the freshman QB, keeps it on the option. Well, even when he is hit by 2 Hawaii defenders, he still has that forward lean to even get maybe half a yard there, but he doesn't lose anything.
He's about 220 pounds. 22 years old, freshman. He can take a pounding, but you really don't want the only quarterback that you are counting on to take too many hits.
Riley Nelson, the starter for BYU, out of this game with a back injury. So it's Hill handing off. Williams is into the end zone. Touchdown, BYU. The Hawaii fumble turns into 6 points for the Cougars. Jamaal Williams filling in for the injured Michael Alisa has his career day. 2nd rushing touchdown and now 100 plus rushing yards. Stevenson gets this PAT, had one blocked. It's 27-0 BYU, and the Cougar offense gets the very short field, punches it in.
Yeah, gets a little bit of help from Devin Mahina. Didn't really need it. It's in the end zone. BYU's out.
At Lavelle Edwards Stadium Friday night, and all the magic is on BYU's side. A 27-0 lead now, as Edwards will let that bounce through the back of the end zone for a touchback. Hawaii football at the 25. So great offensive numbers, great offensive production for BYU. But Hawaii has punted it as many times as they have made a first down tonight.
5 first downs, 5 punts. No points.
Schroeder 9 of 17 for 66 yards. Last time Schroeder was out there as a quarterback, he fumbled it. Ansah appeared to recover for a touchdown, but took 2 more plays for BYU to punch it in. Give the offense another touchdown. Schroeder to the flat. Ostrowski on the screen. Gain of 9 before he's knocked out by Daniel Sorensen. Flag down. Well, Friday Focus, Utah State is watching tonight. Hello, Aggies.
Yeah, they are. They've been on Friday Night Football.
And we'll see them again next week on Friday night here at BYU. So just up the Wasatch Range in Logan, Utah, as the Aggies are getting ready for UNLV. And then they will begin the preparations to take on BYU. Last time we saw Utah State on Friday night, they were upsetting the Utah Utes in Logan.
That was a heck of a game.
And a memorable Friday upset over BYU a couple of years ago as well. Late hit was the call against Sorensen and BYU. So 15-yard penalty. Hawaii gets it out to the 49. Gregory picks up maybe 9. And speaking of Utah State's upset over Utah on that Friday night.
Yeah, Chucky Keaton had a pretty good night against Utah. A couple of touchdowns that night. Over 300 total yards. Friday night stars. We started off with Le'Veon Bell, who's in the Heisman race. And you see, we finished up last week. Nick Florence at Baylor with a big night.
Now, 4 touchdowns for Nick Florence, but that was after he threw a couple of early picks.
Yeah.
And the come from behind win over Louisiana Monroe. Gregory stood up. It's going to be 3rd and short for Hawaii. Ansah there on the stop.
Yeah, he's made a little bit of a statement tonight. He's been all over the field.
When Ansah, the track athlete, wanted to play football, Bronco Mendenhall said, first we have to see your attendance in both church and class. If you we're going to have you on this BYU football team. Ezekiel passed that test. He put on the pads for the first time in his life. And 3 years later, he is an impact playmaker for the BYU defense. And the scouts are very interested in his future. Hawaii will have to take a timeout prior to 3rd and 2. Timeout Warriors, 3rd and 2 when we come back. Down prior to the Hawaii-BYU matchup here in Provo. It is all BYU. 27-0 on Hawaii. Warrior offense on the field facing 3rd down and 2. Schroeder to throw on 3rd and 2. Knocked away. Incomplete. Trevor Davis, the intended receiver. Preston Hadley, the senior Eagle scout, knocks it away.
You know, Bronco Mendenhall talks about this defense almost in reverential terms. He gets misty-eyed talking about how hard they play and how aggressive they are. And there you see Hadley. Perfect position, perfect execution. Left arm in front, back arm to protect himself.
And it's a lot of guys who are unlikely star defenders for BYU. Hadley out of Snow College. You have Brandon Ogletree, the captain of the defense, who Bronco Flat said, I didn't think he could play out of high school. On 4th down, a fake. BYU snuffs it out. And the Cougar defense, even on special teams, comes up big. It is BYU football snuffing out the fake. Tried the inside give to Will Gregory, and he is dropped.
Now this is snapped to the up back, number 34 there, and then handed back between the legs. It looked like they handed it off to Will Gregory. It was Lister to Gregory. A backwards between the legs handoff. That takes a lot of execution.
So Taysom Hill and the BYU offense back on the field. Hill looking long for Hoffman. Knocked away by Mike Edwards. Lots of contact, but Edwards wins the battle.
Yeah, just to finish your point on the BYU defense in Ogletree and Bronco Mendenhall, he said the parents worked him so hard that he had to give Ogletree a scholarship. He didn't want to as the last one, but he got tired of being nagged.
No, we hear from coaches who say, well, you know, this guy surprised us. We weren't sure whether he could start. Bronco Mendenhall said, I didn't think he could play.
But he gave him a scholarship anyway.
And you have a former track guy who'd never played football before, an impact defensive end, fumble of the football. Williams.
Well, I guess you have to be somewhat creative about your roster when it turns over about 40% a year. And that's what Bronco Mendenhall deals with here at BYU because of the combination of graduation and Mormon missions. Between those two factors, he almost loses half his team every year.
And by the way, the 55 that Brandon Ogletree is wearing there on his right arm, that's Ethan Manu-Maliuna's number, out for the year with a left knee injury. He has plans to seek a medical redshirt, so that's why Ogletree's wearing 55 on his arm. Hill downfield, knocked away, incomplete on 3rd and 11. So BYU facing 4th and 11. Mike Edwards knocks that one away from Cody Hoffman again. Edwards with a couple of good plays to force the punt.
Now showing his skills at the corner spot. He also has skills as a kick returner. He's brought one back for a touchdown this year already.
Miscommunication, getting a late man on the field before the punt for BYU. Riley Stevenson, BYU punter. Scott Harding, the Australian, there's a flag down. Back to receive it for Hawaii. Let's check the flag. Here it is.
Legal formation on a kicking tee. Too many men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Well, the one matchup between the top 20 teams, Ohio State, Michigan State, 3:30 Eastern on ABC, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Le'Veon Bell, 153 rushing yards a game.
Well, both those guys are in the Heisman race, but they're both going to need help tomorrow. You know, Braxton Miller can't do it by himself. Le'Veon Bell can't do it by himself. He'll get a little help from Dave Sims, the tight end. Great tight end for Michigan State, but both those guys have been carrying the load. They need some help from other players to step up.
Braxton Miller big time carrying the load for Ohio State. That one will sail out right around the 12. Good punt from Riley Stevenson. So the 3:30 game tomorrow on ABC. That is Ohio State, Michigan State. Game day will be there. But, Rod, the Big Ten needs a boost.
Yeah, it may be too late for the big boost, but you know, they're out of the BCS National Championship race. They've just lost too many good non-conference games. You know, Ohio State has a chance to go undefeated. If they do that, at least that would be the best undefeated team out of the Big Ten. But it's a tough year. They've lost too many games. The MAC has kind of done a job on the Big Ten this year. 3 big wins.
But even if Ohio State goes undefeated, they are postseason ineligible. Yeah. So it's like USC was a year ago. They can have a great season. They can play spoiler. They can impress people. Right. But there's no postseason, including Big Ten championship.
They're in danger of not having their Rose Bowl representative ranked in the top 10. And maybe not even in the top 15. Depending on what happens, since you have Ohio State out of the postseason mix. If Michigan State were to win the conference, but let's say they lose tomorrow, you know, it's a 2-loss team, and that's not going to be a highly rated team in this environment right now.
And by the way, Braxton Miller, maybe you haven't heard a whole lot about him at Ohio State. He's played terrific. He's just a sophomore, and he's one of the guys, Rod. I mean, we're not even to October yet, but when you look at the Heisman contenders, E.J. Manuel, Geno Smith, Braxton Miller, is he in that conversation right now?
Yeah, you know, I'm a Heisman voter, and I don't seriously look until we get into October. I think September is one of these months where you start to figure out who's in the race and not taking guys out unless you have an extraordinarily horrible, you know, team and personal September. I think the jockeying really begins in October.
This is 3rd and 5 for Hawaii. Only one third down conversion tonight. Schroeder over the middle, knocked away. Hawaii is only 1 for 8 on 3rd down as we check in again with Jamel Hill.
I have a bit of an unpopular opinion on Braxton Miller. I just think with Ohio State not being eligible this season for a Big Ten championship, can you legitimately consider him for the Heisman when he doesn't face the same pressure as an E.J. Manuel or some of the other Heisman candidates? Rod, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes, you can. I mean, we seriously considered Matt Barkley last year of USC, and he wasn't eligible, but he got a strong push at the end there. I think he absolutely can.
It's supposed to be the most outstanding player in college football, period.
It's not Braxton Miller's fault that Ohio State's ineligible. It wasn't Matt Barkley's fault.
Jody Falslow to the 35 to the 36. We're going to discuss the Heisman more, I promise you. I want to hear if Matt Barkley is still in the running potentially. We'll talk about that and much more when we come back. Utah. College football primetime presented by Russell Athletic. What a tailgate week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. BYU 27, Hawaii nothing. Taysom Hill, the freshman quarterback for BYU under center. The 22-year-old freshman hands off to Jamaal Williams, the 17-year-old freshman. Yes, 17-year-old freshman running back for BYU. So you have Hill in there because of the injury to Riley Nelson. You have Jamaal Williams in there because of the injury earlier in this game, the broken arm from Michael Alisa. And they have both gone over 100 rushing yards in this game. BYU has racked up now 259 rushing yards. Hill to throw on 2nd and 8, incomplete to Foot. It'll be 3rd and 8.
Talk about young guys, old guys in the same class getting it done. Hill on the left, 22 years old, 146 rushing yards, and 101 for the real young freshman. Williams on the right, both over 100.
Jamaal Williams led Summit High School to a 13-1 record, CIF championship last year. As his career night as a Cougar. 3rd and 8 here. Low snap. Hill corrals. Taysom Hill is chased, and he is sacked by Tavita Woodard. 4th down coming.
That was the first really poor snap by Brandon Hansen, the center, who normally is a guard. And he's not just any guard. He's a guard that is a projected NFL draft pick, 4th, 5th round or so. And that one got away from him for the first time.
So Hansen moving over to center because the sophomore Blair Tusshouse got tossed around last couple of games for BYU. So they're moving Hansen from guard to center. Brandon Doman said he would live with some low snaps tonight. Stevenson hangs the punt. Fair catch at the 33. Let's check in with Chris Cotter.
Time for Sports Center right now, and the 15th no-hitter in Reds history was consummated today when Homer Bailey pitched it, blanking the Pirates. It's also the 7th no-hitter of the year. So the Reds beat the Pirates 1-0. Homer Bailey gets the first no-hitter for Cincinnati since Tom Browning's perfect game in 1988. Tigers shut out at day 1 of the Ryder Cup, but Phil Mickelson was great along with Keegan Bradley. 2 points for Team USA. They lead 5-3 heading into Saturday's day 2.
Here in Provo, the BYU defense has dominated Hawaii. 1st and 10. Schroeder rolling, and Schroeder will be sacked by Kyle Van Noy.
Can't hold the ball that long. Kyle Van Noy will get you. And he's a very versatile player. He's also a guy that'll wind up in the NFL. He can play the outside linebacker spot. He can play a safety spot. And he's relentless. That ball needed to come out. Schroeder just held it too long, couldn't find anybody open.
Van Noy top 20 nationally, both sacks and tackles for loss. Junior from Reno. Schroeder throws incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 17 and a chance to go back to our Heisman Trophy discussion. We were talking about Braxton Miller. Could he be a Heisman Trophy winner at Ohio State? Well, they're on probation. Matt Barkley, last year you said he was in consideration for the Heisman.
Yep.
There has been a Heisman Trophy winner for a program on probation.
Well then that would have to be our own Andre Ware. won it in Houston. And yes, they were on probation, and probably more than just probation.
And that included the television ban. It is a different day as we determine the Heisman Trophy winner in 2012. Schroeder has nobody to hand it off to, nobody to throw it to, nearly intercepted by Joe Sampson. Van Noy applies the pressure again.
This defense is just suffocating. I mean, here's Van Noy right there on the outside. He doesn't get fooled by any of this and gets involved. He is a very good perimeter player, whether he's in pass coverage or getting after the quarterback.
Tanaki nearly has the punt blocked. Balslev back to the 30, and he is wrestled down there. All season long, if you can't watch it on TV, how about the Watch ESPN app, especially tomorrow night on a Saturday night when you have 5 of the top 6 teams on the ESPN networks. It's from 6 Eastern all the way through the night game with second-ranked Oregon playing Washington State tomorrow night. Got Saturday night plans? Watch ESPN on your mobile device.
You know, if we'd had that app back when Andre Ware won the Heisman, he wouldn't have been on there.
He wouldn't have been on that either. But Braxton Miller will be on ABC and the Watch ESPN app tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern, even with Ohio State on probation. Play fake, Taysom Hill completes. Over the middle, that's Cody Hoffman for a 13-yard gain for BYU.
Well, they're working on the passing game. I mean, you have a live opportunity to get your freshman quarterback some reps. I mean, there's no certainty that Riley Nelson's going to be ready to play next week against Utah State. And if you're going to open up the playbook, you know, Brandon Doman, the O coordinator, has got to get his guy more reps in more situations.
That's Riley Nelson, the senior starting quarterback who was injured. Bronco Mendenhall said at the half, whenever Riley is ready to play, he will be the quarterback. Williams with a good block on the outside, gets inside the 40. It's Famika Anai who pulls to hit the block on Jamaal Williams. Speaking of throwing the football, Brandon Doman told us this. You can just feel the tension of fans wanting us to cut it loose. And when you throw for 61 yards in that 7-6 loss to Boise State on Thursday night, you're Brandon Doman, who was a great quarterback here for BYU. You really feel that.
Yeah, he certainly has felt that. But he also knew that this was a team that they could run the football on, and that he had a freshman quarterback that he needed to get comfortable. So he wasn't going to abandon sound principles to satisfy the critics and just start throwing the ball all over the place.
Famika and I leaving the game for BYU. So look at the 61 passing yards. That's just hard to comprehend.
Yeah, and you know, 100's not what he wants. He wants more than that, but he also wants to get his quarterback comfortable.
Williams on 1st and 10. Jamaal Williams inside the 15. Jamaal Williams is wrestled down inside the 5. Mike Edwards makes the touchdown saving tackle.
Yeah, he gives this offense more speed. When you put Hill and Williams in this backfield together, you have more speed in this BYU backfield than they've had in a long time.
First 4 games of his BYU career, Jamaal Williams had 83 yards. Tonight, he has 155 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, they are more explosive now with Williams and Hill in the backfield.
Taysom Hill throwing. Hoffman has it. Touchdown BYU. There is a flag down. And it looks like offensive pass interference.
Pass interference. Offense. Number 2. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Wiping away the touchdown.
Here you see the extension of the right arm pushing Grimes away, and multiple flags.
So wipe out the first wipe out the touchdown. First and goal all the way back to the 19 for BYU.
Well, they'll try it again down here with press coverage. They will throw to the end zone when they see that.
There it is again. There's the pass again. This time Hoffman forced out. Naquan Phillips, true freshman corner, in coverage.
Well, Hoffman goes at about 6'3", 6'4", matched up against the 5'9" Phillips, who was in his face, press coverage, man-to-man, opportunity to see if he could hold up on the edge. That ball is just thrown too far wide. But anytime they see that, they'll take the shot at it.
Hoffman comes out of the game. This is still second down and goal, even though it's back out of the 19 after the penalty. Hawaii brings pressure. Hill runs to where the pressure comes from, takes a Hawaii defender or two with him to the 12-yard line. That's Bo Yap, and some pushing and shoving at the end of the play between Bo Yap and Solomone Kafu.
And a really good job by the officials. They didn't let it get out of hand, but they also didn't let him fight again or have to throw anyone out. And they got in there right away and calmed it down.
Kafu was the player late into that play. Regardless, third and goal for BYU from the 12. Hill over the middle, caught, touchdown BYU, David Mahina. The sophomore has his first touchdown grab of the year.
Mahina just runs a crossing route and rubs off his defender with the official. He ran him right into the official, and Mahina got all by himself.
That is Devin Mahina, who missed all of last year with a broken neck. Took a medical red shirt. Mahina has a touchdown grab, and BYU leads it 34-0. Take a look at some great teamwork brought to you by Russell Athletic.
Pretty good when you can have a couple of freshmen team up to get something done. How about Jamaal Williams, the young freshman out of the backfield, having a big night for himself? And how about his quarterback, Taysom Hill, the old freshman, also running for more than 100 yards on the night. A couple of freshmen coming together for some good teamwork.
So Williams, 155 rushing yards, a pair of touchdowns. He also has 2 catches for 30 yards. Taysom Hill, 112 yards through the air, 143 on the ground. 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown for Taysom Hill, the freshman from Idaho. Gets his first start tonight in relief of the injured Riley Nelson.
What if BYU had picked up the 2-point conversion? What if they'd gone to overtime and won that game last week?
That's a touchback. Hawaii will get it at the 25. Well, and really the answer is, what if they are able to move the football against Utah or Boise State and Boise State? Would BYU right now at 4-0 be a BCS buster potentially? Now that's out the window because they're 2-2.
But it's interesting, this man, Bronco Mendenhall, firmly believes that is the goal. The goal is to win a national championship. And he knows that in order to do it, he's got to have an undefeated team.
Timeout, BYU.
Defensive timeout for BYU. Well, BYU has won national championship. That was 1984. Bronco Mendenhall says absolutely that is the goal for BYU football, but says it wouldn't have to be 1 year of undefeated for BYU to be in the championship race. He says it would take 2 BYU to be a potential national championship contender.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's paranoid. He has a point. He has some concern that people just wouldn't buy it, and that there's a lot of resentment against what they're trying to do here, and that they don't get the confidence, the vote, the respect for from the whole conference thing, that they're independent and that a couple of conferences did not accept them or didn't want them. And I think there's a little chip on the shoulder by the BYU folks about that. And it would take a couple of years for them to get it done to win a national championship.
You also don't have conferences to automatically schedule you with difficult opponents. They have to schedule as an independent, as Ogletree makes the stop on Sterling Jackson. Well, BYU did it in 1984, the national champions, and this is the only time that a national champion has won a bowl game prior to January 1st. Holiday Bowl 1984. It was BYU over Michigan to cap that championship season when Lavelle Edwards was the head coach and Norm Chow was the offensive coordinator.
Yep, Norm Chow.
Now in his first head coaching job at Hawaii, and the Warriors are struggling tonight in Provo, and they're on the verge of going 1-3.
How about what Bronco Mendenhall said to you about how special it would be for BYU to win compared to what he sees out there in the world of college football?
Well, Bronco Mendenhall making the point about what he called the grab for dollars. Those are his words. Yeah. Grab for dollar, grab for TV exposure. He said, we want to be the counterbalance in college football. That is the goal of BYU. Hadley forces a fumble. And the BYU defense comes up with another takeaway with 3:03 to go in the third. Ball-hawking BYU defense gets another takeaway.
Schroeder has been under duress all night. Hadley on the corner blitz. That ball's out. Hawaii has just had a tough time all night trying to get it done. Kafusi was the guy in there knocking the ball out.
Third takeaway by BYU
recovering
tonight.
it. Yeah, Kafusi recovers it. Hadley knocks it out.
And we see the backup quarterback, James Lark. He's the third stringer, but the backup tonight. Swings it in the flat, J.D. Falslev. James Lark, the senior from St. George, Utah, now into quarterback BYU.
Yeah, he had only thrown 9 career passes coming into this game. James Lark, fifth-year senior, spent a couple years on the scout team here behind a number of good quarterbacks, and now he's in the number 2 role with Riley Nelson banged up.
David Foote in at running back. He takes it on 2nd and 3. It'll be 3rd and short after we check with Chris Cotter.
Carter, WNBA playoffs, Western Conference semis, game 1 going on right now over on ESPN2, early 4th quarter. You see Minnesota, the defending champion, Lynx with a 64-51 lead over Seattle earlier on in the day. The Atlanta Dream beat Indiana to take a 1-0 lead in their Eastern Conference semi.
Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah. Carter Blackburn, Rod Gilmore, Jamel Hill. It has been all BYU Cougars. Now the 3rd string, but back up tonight, quarterback James Larkin. On 3rd short, David Foote appears to be shoved back. Tavita Woodard, the first Hawaii defender there. 4th down, and the offense appears to be staying on the field for BYU. Larkin, the offense stays out there. 4th and 1 for a BYU offense, which has racked up 312 rushing yards. Why not think you can get one more? How about the blow that Zed Mendenhall took and still converts? Zed Mendenhall, a distant relative of head coach Bronco Mendenhall, and the tough fullback gets a tough first down.
He lays in here face-to-face big hit on TJ Taimatuia, who's in there. Boy, there is no quit in this Hawaii team. I mean, BYU continues to bring it, but it's not as if Hawaii has thrown up the white flag. They are playing hard here.
1st and 10 for BYU. It's David Foote on the carry. By the way, on that 4th down conversion, it was Zed Mendenhall blocking for Paul Lasike, who's come into the game at tailback on that 4th and short. So it was Lasike who picked it up. Zed Mendenhall throws the lead block, but BYU converts, and now it's 2nd and 2 inside the 5. That's Michael Alisa. Bronco Mendenhall told Jamaal at halftime that it's a broken arm for Michael Alisa, the starting running back for BYU. So Lasike is in a running back now. Did BYU get it off before the quarter? Apparently so. And it's a touchdown for Lasike to cap the 3rd quarter. Lasike is better known around the BYU campus as a rugby player, gets in.
Yeah, well, and Hawaii has lost 3 defensive tackles inside. Not enough body girth to do anything against this BYU rushing attack. Lasike just rolls in there.
Riley Stevenson for the PAT. No good. Misses it to the left. He's had 1 blocked and misses that one left. And maybe, just maybe, some more light shed on that 2-point conversion decision last Thursday. Young freshman, that's not being redundant when you talk about BYU.
I used to think it was all the time.
Right. I know how you pay attention to those things. But Taysom Hill, 22 years old, he is a true freshman, but he is not a young freshman.
Grown man.
Yep. Schroeder looking long on the 1st down. It is complete to the 45-yard line. That is the biggest offensive play of the night. It's Billy Ray Stutzman who hauls it in for BYU.
Well, prior to that play, they were at 78 yards passing for the night and at about 18 yards rushing. So this BYU defense had really shut down this Hawaii offense. And remember, they're transitioning from the run and shoot to this West Coast style offense.
They were 13 years run and shoot under June Jones and Greg Mackin. John Lister will take the direct snap for Hawaii eventually. Lister keeps it after faking the handoff to Will Gregory, and Lister picks up about 3.
I thought it was interesting that Norm Chow said he thought that moving to the West Coast offense would be a better fit for Hawaii because of all of the Polynesian players that they have, that, you know, the toughness, the pride, the hitting, that the style of running game fit better with where they were going with this program.
And so then the challenge would be to recruit those guys. Hawaii's not a secret anymore recruiting wise. There's programs from all over the country recruiting the Hawaiian Islands. Schroeder hit as he throws, incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and 7. There is a flag down on the play. Remington Peck.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer on a defense, number 50. Led with his helmet. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Oh, that's the right call. Helmet to helmet is where he's got him for it. And again, the rule that the officials are following. If it's borderline upper body, they're going to call it. And that's because they want to consistently send the message, you must hit lower.
Head or neck area is what the rule says.
Yeah, it wasn't a late hit. It was a hit that was above the numbers.
This is the deepest penetration by the Hawaii offense tonight. Schroeder throwing to the end zone. It is incomplete. 2nd and 10. Intended for Trevor Davis.
You know, it's interesting when you have calls like that. Coaches in the heat of the moment always seem to dislike that call. But when you talk them away from the field, they go, yeah, I get it, and they should be calling that. And they get it when they're not immediately involved in the game.
BYU defense trying to preserve the shutout. Bobble on the handoff. That's Sterling Jackson, who's dropped. 3rd down coming. A chance to look at more Friday focus pictures. Georgia at home versus Tennessee. Cal is at home versus Arizona State. And how about Illinois in what could be a bit of a grudge match against Penn State.
Yeah, for recruiting some of their players on the Penn State campus. And they're breaking out some new helmets. You see what Oregon has rocked? Everybody breaks out new helmets now.
Yeah, they keep up with the Ducks. Try to, anyway.
They're pretty fast.
Schroeder on 3rd and 11. Incomplete. 4th down and 11 coming. Davis, the intended receiver. Hadley breaks it up.
This crowd is getting into this. They want to preserve the shutout for this defense. They'll make some noise on 4th down here. They want this defense that they've been so proud of the first 4 weeks of the season to get a shutout.
Schroeder chased. Schroeder incomplete. A 0 on the scoreboard still for Hawaii. Bronson Kofusi applies the pressure on Sean Schroeder. BYU gets the football with a 40-0 lead and a shutout intact. Well, the Friday night magic here in Provo, Utah is all on BYU's side. They are routing Hawaii 40-0 here at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. The beginning of the college football weekend. Foot gets the carry on 1st and 10. There's a flag down as Foot finds the edge, but there's a flag down back near the line of scrimmage.
Number 20, the ball carrier. 27, the ball carrier. Driven out of bounds by number 37, Charles Clay.
Holding. Offense. Number 33. 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
SportsCenter is coming up next on ESPN, getting you ready for the big football weekend, including a couple of big ones in the Big Ten.
Ohio State, Michigan State. Who's going to step up in that one? I think Ohio State has a bit of an edge. Haven't seen enough offense out of Michigan State. Wisconsin, Nebraska. Monte Ball is going to play after having had a concussion last week, a concussion the month before that. What is going on?
Now, am I judging from that, Rod, that you don't think Monte Ball should play for the Wisconsin Badgers?
Well, here's my thing. I think the NFL really takes concussions seriously. And I think we at the college level, we treat it like a twisted ankle. You can't have a concussion on a Saturday and then be at practice on Tuesday running and then being certain you're going to play on Saturday. To me, that sends the wrong message about concussions.
Lark on 2nd and 18 completes. That is Lasike who has the 1st down across the 45. Let's get Jamel Hill on this discussion.
Yeah, the one thing, Rod, that is evident with the NFL and what was the impetus for them is they have thousands of players who are suing them. So they had it was a financial interest in terms of taking it to the legal level. You wonder if that may happen at some point with the college players. Maybe you do a decision like this, it could open the floodgates. So it's very dangerous from that standpoint.
Well, absolutely. If Wisconsin has asked Monte Ball to sign a release saying that he would never sue the university, there's no assurance that in 5 or 10 years, if Monte Ball had issues, that release would stand up.
Personal foul call against Hawaii moves it to the BYU 40. And when we talk about these issues in college football, there's a commissioner in the NFL. That's Roger Goodell. There's no commissioner of college football. This is up to conferences, individual institutions, individual medical staffs as far as how they're handling these.
But the problem here is that we've seen an awful lot of information, an awful lot of data that tells you how serious concussions can be for you. Yet, at the collegiate level, we tend to play cat and mouse and treat it like it's not that serious. How about the Tyler Wilson situation with Arkansas? They were saying it was a game-time decision after he'd spent the night in the hospital just the week before. I don't get this stuff.
Monte Ball again has been cleared to play. By all accounts, will play tomorrow night for Wisconsin. Provo, Utah. It's Lasike inside the 30-yard line for BYU. BYU continues to move it at will. All right, how about on the football field with Monte Ball playing in that game against Nebraska?
Wisconsin has not established that they are back offensively yet, Monte Ball or anybody else. You know, their offensive line play has not been great. I think Nebraska is coming back around, and certainly they've been more explosive offensively. I'd lean toward Nebraska in that ball game.
In part because Taylor Martinez has looked so much better throwing the football.
He's done everything that they could ask of him right now.
The numbers are really good for Taylor Martinez, but just watching Taylor Martinez throw the football is so much better than his first couple of years. The CK again to the 21.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He certainly worked really hard at it, and he's still a dynamic runner. When you add his ability to throw the ball effectively, that helps. And he's got to be motivated. Got a little bit of ammunition, you know, from certain players at at Wisconsin, suggesting that he throws the football the way people skip rocks.
You think T-Magic paid attention to that?
Yeah, that might get you motivated a little bit if you're Nebraska and Nebraska fans.
I think that's the type of thing Bo Pelini turns immediately into motivation. James Lark, option, keeper, near the first down. It is the passion on display tomorrow. Winding towards Saturday. And it is a Saturday where upsets are possible. Everyone talked about the schedule being down this week. Only one top 20 matchup. We'll get to more of that in a minute. Here on third down, after third down and 1. Lark hands off. The CK picks it up. The CK has first and 10 BYU. Well, talk about potential for upsets. You have 5 of the top 6 on the ESPN networks. Who is most vulnerable out of this group tomorrow night, Rod?
Well, certainly Alabama's fine, Oregon's fine, LSU should be fine. You start looking at Florida State. I don't see how South Carolina struggles with Kentucky. If you're looking for one game, you look at Florida State, South Florida. It's a rivalry, and you certainly had B.J. Daniel do a nice job to knock off Florida State a couple years ago. And Florida State coming off a big win against Clemson.
You say rivalry because it's one of those where the guys know each other.
Exactly.
In Florida, there's obviously not a whole lot of tremendous history between the Bulls and the Seminoles, but in 2009, B.J. Daniels as a true freshman coming in and leading South Florida to that win over Florida State.
Well,
that's going to create a little...
A good example, B.J. Daniels was not recruited by Florida State. He wanted to be recruited by them, and he got a chance to knock them off a couple years ago, and he sees them again tomorrow. So it's that kind of a rivalry that makes that game intriguing.
This time last week, you were talking about how the ACC needed a compelling game between Clemson and Florida State. We certainly got that last Saturday night.
The ACC got exactly what they needed. Florida State played great, as did Clemson, for an entertaining ball game.
This is Lark on 2nd and 5. It's Lasike taking it to near a first down. He appears to be about a yard short, so it'll be 3rd and 1 from inside the 5 as BYU has gone to the backups. Up 40 points in the 4th quarter. 365 tonight. They were on pace at the half to go over 465. There's still 7:48 to go in this game. They still got a shot.
Well, they started throwing the football. They wanted to work on the passing attack.
Back to 1958 when BYU set that record against Montana. The CK gets it again on 3rd and 1. He has the first down. It's 1st and goal BYU from the 1. Another frustrating defensive performance for Hawaii. They gave up 355 on the ground to Nevada. They have given up more than that now. 367 on the ground for BYU. 9 rushes on this drive for BYU. 1st and goal. Lasike is he into the end zone? Yes, he is. Touchdown. Got just enough. Lasike, touchdown, BYU. Smiles from the injured Michael Alisa as he has seen his backups, Jamaal Williams and now Paul Lasike, into the end zone 4 times tonight.
Yeah, but that wasn't easy. Did you see how hard Hawaii fought there on that goal line? Timeout to Ia was right there battling to keep Lasike out of the end zone. And not any quit here in Hawaii.
Different kicker for BYU on the PAT. After Stevenson had 1 blocked and missed 1, it's Justin Sorensen who comes in and gets the PAT. Like the fight song says, rise all Cougars, hurl your challenge to the foe.
But, yeah, I mean,
I didn't know they weren't here all day and started with breakfast with the donuts.
Well, you know, I mean, maybe they're planning on hanging out until the games start tomorrow morning and eating those donuts. But I'm gonna throw a tailgating flag on whoever was.
Yeah, well, you know, but that's what you do. You do that in Hawaii. I mean, they're right there. You don't want to cook those. But in Hawaii, because the game starts so early, you just don't go home on Friday night. You just stay at the bar and turn on the games at 6 a.m. I'm told.
9:30 a.m. Eastern time for Ohio State and Michigan State tomorrow, by the way, in the islands. Some disappointed Warrior fans watching BYU roll all over Hawaii tonight. Will Gregory, first down carry. Hawaii has not been shut out in a football game since 1998. They are 6:47 away from being shut out tonight in Provo.
Well, the way this defense is played, it's going to take something spectacular for Hawaii to get into the end zone.
Gregory the carry. Minimal gain. Well, the Monster Mile is next up in the NASCAR Sprint Cup. It's Jimmy Johnson, maybe his favorite track, certainly one of them. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover, presented by GoDaddy.com. That's Sunday, 1 Eastern on ESPN. That would be 7 a.m. Sunday morning in the Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah, good. I got you.
Say aloha to Dover.
I don't think there's any track
Sunday
Jimmy Johnson doesn't want.
At 7 a.m. Well, Rod, you said at the beginning of the chase, Jimmy's going to do it again. We'll see. Will Gregory gets near the first down.
I took Jimmy and gave you the field.
I think I've said this about college football with Nick Saban. It's about when Tiger Woods was in his prime. I'll take Tiger. You take the rest of the field. I'll take Nick Saban to win the championship and give you the field.
Now, see, that one I might take.
Okay.
That one I might take. This might be the year where there might be a couple of challengers to the SEC.
I want to hear who other than LSU and Oregon, who appear to have separated themselves along with Alabama.
Timeout, Hawaii. Second charge of the second half. Timeout on the field.
We will talk about some other teams who might be able to play their way into the championship race when we come back. All BYU with 5:18 to go. The Cougars are on the verge of going to 3-2 and sending the Hawaii Warriors to 1-3. The only remaining question is, will the BYU defense end up with a shutout tonight here on Friday night? Carter Blackburn with Rod Gilmore. And how about a little version of Friday Final Verdict? You usually see this on college football
Saturday,
final, on Saturday night. But Counselor, I'm going to motion to you. I'm going to submit the motion that if Notre Dame goes undefeated the rest of the way, that Notre Dame will play for the BCS National Championship.
Really? Do we now? Really?
Yes, it's not October.
Can we let Notre Dame settle on one quarterback first before we put them in the national championship?
Now that is a big if, but I have some evidence to back up my assertion that Notre Dame will play for the national championship if they go undefeated. Now, we're going to get to the big if because...
Yeah, sure you will.
Yeah, because Notre Dame plays a very difficult schedule, but no team has beaten 5 ranked teams and not played for the BCS championship.
I will give you that. That's fine. If Notre Dame goes undefeated, given the schedule they will have played, agreed. But really, can we get to October? At least get there? I mean, they've got a heck of a schedule left to play. They got Stanford out there, Oklahoma, USC, Miami. And they haven't settled on a quarterback. They have a starter and a reliever. Can we at least get them to... They're a top 10 team, top 10 defense. But let's hold off on the other talk right now.
So you contrast that with Florida State.
With the carry, penalty markers on.
Still has Florida on the schedule. South Carolina still has some opportunities now.
Personal foul.
56.
Late hit out of bounds on the defense, number 56. 15-yard penalty. First down.
So, Rod, to your point, this is an extremely difficult schedule. Even say that
I am going to respond to your motion by saying it is premature. It is not ripe. We're not going to consider it yet because look at what you have in October. Let's talk about Notre Dame and the national championship once we get to November. When they handle October, it'll be a ripe, legitimate motion to consider.
And in addition to the ranked teams, you have Miami, you have BYU on October 20th, who make their seasons by beating a Notre Dame team who is now in the top 10 of the AP poll. We don't know. Obviously, the BCS is not out yet.
Look at Foot go.
Yeah, down to the 26-yard line. Well, usually we go to Reese to determine the final verdict, but how about Jamaal Hill to weigh in on the motion?
Rod, I know we haven't been Friday night teammates that long, but I'm going to hold you in contempt. I love how you say it's okay or it's too premature to consider Notre Dame, but you just eliminated my Big Ten earlier in this broadcast. What's up with that, Rod?
They earned the right to be eliminated.
Now, of course, those two Notre Dame wins over ranked teams have both been over Michigan and Michigan State, yet to be determined what their seasons are going to look like by the end of the year.
Wait a minute. The reality of the BCS race, and to consider the Big Ten, find me a team in the Big Ten that has a win and a schedule that can argue for a spot in the BCS championship.
None.
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 That's your answer, Hollywood. There's none. Not one. You can't argue Michigan State. They lost to Notre Dame. You can't argue Michigan. You can't argue Ohio State. They're ineligible. Who do you have? You got nobody.
Rod, look, this is part of what we do as analysts. We're supposed to pontificate. I think it's perfectly reasonable to consider Notre Dame. I just had to give you a little bit of a dig because you're Mr. Let's wait and see how everything plays out.
Well, that's because we've already played out the Big Ten.
Now, how about we talked about Matt Barkley? Is he out of the Heisman Trophy contention at this point? Is USC is USC have a way to play themselves back into the championship?
Where we are, in my opinion, on the BCS race, we're going to have an SEC team in the title game. Whether it's an undefeated Alabama, LSU, or Georgia, someone out of the SEC will be in the game. The question is, will their opponent come from the Pac-12, be that Oregon or be that USC? Would it be out of the Big 12, West Virginia, Texas?
Still Oklahoma possibly.
Oklahoma possibly. Kansas State, not Oklahoma. Kansas State possibly. That's possible. Or do you get Florida State, which is the only possibility out of the ACC?
Well, Florida State has to get past South Florida tomorrow. And speaking of Florida State, South Florida, we remind you that ACC matchup is coming your way at 6 Eastern tomorrow. And then #1 Alabama against Ole Miss, 9:15 Eastern time tomorrow on the ESPN networks. Tomorrow night, 5 of the top 6 all in action.
Thought you told me that Jamel was a serious reporter talking about Big Ten having a shot.
Well, you know, I just wanted to lay that out there, that no team who has beaten 5 ranked opponents has been excluded from a BCS championship game. Notre Dame has the opportunity now to go undefeated with the schedule that the Irish have in 2012. Extremely difficult. BYU fails to convert on 4th down. Minute 7 left. Can the Cougars close out the shutout over the Warriors?
SportsCenter coming up next. Homer Bailey has the no-hitter for the Cincinnati Reds. There's a 0 on the scoreboard here for Hawaii. The BYU defense will try and close out the shutout. SportsCenter coming up next, getting you set for the full weekend of college football, as well as an update on the baseball pennant races. A conversation with Dana Holgerson in West Virginia, getting ready for their first Big 12 game against the Baylor Bears.
Kind of under the radar. That ought to be an exciting game. Should be a lot of offense and the first test for West Virginia's defense.
Between the two, between Baylor and West Virginia, they are averaging 88 points a game this year. We'll get a chance to see one of those Heisman Trophy contenders, Geno Smith, quarterback for West Virginia. The numbers so far this year have been ridiculous.
Wow, he's had a fantastic start. And a set of underrated receivers in Stedman Bailey and Tavon Austin.
Well, this is going to be Hawaii's first shutout since 1998. First time that they have been shut out, it's BYU's. First time they have shut out an opponent since 2009. It will be a 47-0 win for BYU. So the offense gets on track. The defense pitches a shutout. Coming up on SportsCenter, Tiger benched at the Ryder Cup. And the Homer Bailey no-hitter, getting you ready for the full day of football tomorrow. SportsCenter begins right now.